County 1 Million Cups. Glad you could make it out today. And if you're not fully caffeinated, we do have lots of that stuff out there. I even saw to-go cups today, so Mr. Cotton is hooking us up. Thanks to Brothers Barbecue for letting us be here every week and for hosting this. Thanks to the Economic Development Council for kind of being our sponsors. There we go. That's a good word for it. And this morning, there is a very good possibility, we're having some technical difficulties, there's a very good possibility that we only have one presenter, but she is equal to the task and thinks that she can keep us going for an hour as long as we all have lots of good questions. So without further ado, I will present to you Robbie Fowler-Fink. She said, just call me Robbie. And she is with the USDA.
Yes.
How about that? All right.
Well, good morning. I am with USDA. I'm with the division called Rural Development. We offer programs. We have over 20 plus programs, which is what I handed out, was a sheet that gave you the type of program, obviously what its objective is, who can apply, whether it's a grant or a loan, that kind of information. I will tell you, is everyone here a rural small business? When I say rural, you're in Madisonville, Hopkins County, right, Christian County, somewhere? There's certain places that are not rural, like Owensboro. The city of Owensboro is too large, it's over 50,000, so anything over 50,000 in population according to the 2010 census would be over. So is anyone not a business and you might be a nonprofit? Okay.
No, I'm CA, so I'm
Okay.
familiar with USDA.
Okay, all right, great. We are just one of many divisions of USDA. Since most of you are just business owners, there's a couple programs that we have. On the very first page, there's a program called Section 9007, which we call REAP, Rural Energy for America program. And what that is for ag producers or rural small businesses. If you're thinking of doing any type of renewable energy products, excuse me, like solar, something like that, or energy efficiency. You need new lighting, you need new windows, new HVAC, something of that nature. Energy efficiency, the possibilities, I believe, can be endless. If you're thinking of doing anything like that, we do have a program where we do a 25% grant. All of our grant programs are normally competition-based, so they're very competitive. Another program that we have for businesses is called a value-added producer grant. Does anyone produce anything agriculturally in here? Okay, so that probably won't pertain to you. The rest of these, I'm trying to think of anything. One thing we do is we basically have programs to what we call a non-traditional lender. And it's there's a group, one of the groups that I know in Hopkinsville is called MedEye. And what we do is we loan them money to loan small, other rural businesses, because they have to have the same credentials. You have to be a small business in a rural area to grant small loans. When I say small, anything under $50,000. Of course, you have to go through a loan process with them, but let's say you can't get money from what we call a traditional lender, like Hancock Bank or someone like that. That's another program that we have. So a lot of those on there are, I'm trying to think of anything else that might pertain to anyone. We also do a business and industry loan guarantees, which you as an applicant, if you did go through a bank, and I just noticed that Hancock Bank was on one of the coffee mugs here. Go ahead.
Really, all of our banks are on the coffee mugs,
Okay.
and all of them have been supportive. So,
Okay.
go down the list, but all of them apply.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I know Hancock Bank got a Bowling Green. We do, business and loan guarantees to them. What other banks are,
First United Bank and,
Okay. do you
Old
do?
National. US Bank.
United Southern.
Okay, US Bank, I'm familiar
US
with.
Bank.
Do you guys do loan guarantees like with FSA?
We've done
Farm
one with
Service
FSA, we've done several with SBA.
Yes, okay. And if they're not, well, anyway, the business and industry loan program is when we have a lender's agreement, which if we don't have one, that they can apply to be one. We can guarantee a portion of that loan, which probably as an applicant, you wouldn't notice a big difference other than it's probably a little bit more paperwork because it's government. But it helps the bank. I'm just gonna throw out numbers, say they had $1 million they can only lend. Well, if we're covering 70% of that million, most banks now have 70% more money that they can lend out because they are not on the hook if that loan defaults. Yes.
Sounds like it probably works somewhat similarly to SBA
Yes.
504.
Yes.
We
And
did a
there's-
504 on the deal, but otherwise flat wouldn't have gotten done up in Louisville. It made a huge difference from having those guarantees.
Yes, and that's, and sometimes maybe it's more risky, or, because we can do it on equipment, we have different terms, and since we're guaranteeing a portion of that loan, then the bank can extend their loan terms sometimes, make it more affordable for the applicant. Trying to think of anything, yes.
Can you tell us the minimums and the maximums on that, as far
On
as
the loan guarantee?
the guarantee?
Yes. For us to be able to approve it at a state level would be $10 million. At the national, anything over between 10 and 25 million, it needs national office approval. So we can go up to 25 million. There is, we normally don't have I won't say normally, we always spend our allocation here in the state, but there's other states that don't spend their allocation, which is why when we can go to the national office and typically get more money. So I would like to say, when it comes to a loan program on this sheet, typically those are not a problem as far as funds. We can normally get the funds. It's the grants that we're only allocated so much, and once that money runs out, it's normally done. Or we can go do it like with the REAP program. This year there's what we call 5 different poolings, which means we get an allocation. If we spend that, we go to the national office, they pull the money that other states didn't spend, and then they distribute it again. So we do that this year, 5 different times that they're doing that. Does anybody have any questions or ideas that they've been thinking about?
If there's a $7 million loan, how would it work with your guarantee? What percentage can you guarantee? Say for like
On a
let's call it 7.
You'll have to forgive me because I don't know. It's over 5. Sorry, no. I know it's 60, 70, and 80%.
Okay, so you'll guarantee most of it, okay?
Yeah, it would be over 50, yes. Trying to think of what else. And very, very rare instances we can do 90, but an example of that, would be, I think in Russell County, they had Fruit of the Loom went out, and there was a business that was going to be hurting, and we were able, because it's a zone where they had a mass exodus of industry go out, we were able to do a 90% loan. There's some conditions on that, which if we can, we can tell you what the conditions are and whether or not you need to see if you guys can meet that.
So what type of projects do you cover?
It's probably easier to tell you what
Okay.
we don't cover.
Easy enough.
Also on that back sheet is a website, very informative, they've just revamped it. They'll tell you what we don't do. We don't do golf courses, we don't do gambling, we don't do, basically anything that's illegal. One of the things that's always makes me laugh that's on there is we don't do prostitution houses. I'm like, wow, someone really asked that somewhere.
Or if it's not, so apparently, yeah.
If it's on there, someone must have asked in the past. To tell you different projects that we've done nursing homes, we've done hotels, we've done strip malls,
Senior housing.
okay, not a strip house, a strip, I call it like this building, this strip. I guess there's probably a better term after I said prostitution.
Yeah,
Strip malls. Yes, sir.
Well, can you give us, like, in Russell County, you mentioned that
Yes, sir.
thing. What was what did you all loan against there to kind of like help them get through that?
What we did on that, in that particular instance, we refinanced a loan, so we can do that. They had a loan, I'll say with, Bank X, and they were able to go to Bank Y, because you cannot refinance with the same bank.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to Bank Y and got the refinance.
And this was some business to help them keep their doors open?
Correct.
That was, and
Correct.
because Fruit of the Loom had already gone out?
Correct.
Okay, that kicked into gear.
Like in this instance, I think it's okay to say, Bank X started charging them, I was amazed in the 5-digit fees on their loan. And I can say, I'm pretty sure they weren't like in default, they were just,
Mhm.
I can't explain why, but it was just like, oh my goodness.
Right.
It just was phenomenal, the fees that they were charging them. And so to get away from those and,
Wow.
yes, sir.
I have two questions, I guess. Are we classified as a, Marion's not here. Classified as a rural small business being here? Is this a rural-
Anything in Hopkins County,
Yes.
well, Owensboro is not in Hopkins
Correct.
County, in that state. And I'm sorry, I'm not from Kentucky, so if I mispronounce the city name or county name, like yesterday I said something about Girard County, they're like, no, that's
Garrett.
Garrett County. I'm sorry. I'm learning, I'm sorry. So, and is there anything else? Yes.
Are you guys, and I apologize, I walked in and didn't catch the very start of your presentations, but I know USDA, I know Kevin was keeping me busy outside, he just kept talking to me.
Kevin.
You guys were, thank you. You guys do, USDA does all kinds of work. One of the things I've up into is rural utility service. Like, are
Yes.
you all involved is your office involved in that?
We're, in rural development, there's 3 sections. Rural business and cooperative service, that's the division I'm in, and there's rural utility service. So there's still a part of rural development, and the third one is, rural housing service. I'm sorry, there's single family housing, like we do single family housing loans. That's partially with guarantees there, and then also direct loans. And then there's a multifamily housing section. But yes, I work with people that work in that section.
Gotcha. I didn't know. Yeah, so that's active in Kentucky as well? Then,
Yes,
or
sir.
is- yeah.
Yes, sir. And what rural utilities does is, you need water to an area, utilities to an area. They also do community, like community centers, like libraries.
Yeah.
One thing that's really big right now is know your farmer, know your food, or if you have, use local products. I know we've assisted in doing farmers, like a place to have a farmer's market, maybe help with the building if we can. There's certain limitations that we have, and so it's normally that community programs division that handles that, because it's, and we've done community centers.
Broadband a lot too, right?
Yes, broadband, getting broadband out to rural places, yes, sir. Mhm. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm interested in having you expand a little bit on this Delta Health Healthcare Services grant. Looks like that's a Delta Regional Authority, probably funding from them, but you all administer it. Is that, or is that not the case?
On the Delta Health, that is, give me a second, because I'm kind of, again, it's 20 programs. That one, I think, I don't think it's, that one's kind of special, because you have to have a consortium,
Right.
right? There was someone in this area that was awarded it last year,
What program was that?
Delta Healthcare Service. They, it is administered, let me go back. Some of our programs, you apply straight to our office. Some of the programs, they apply straight to the national office. So we don't, per se, say if they applied, here, and they applied to the national office, we don't know who has applied. They just kind of call us and say, okay, this person got awarded, and here, you now need to administer this. So this, we administer it at the state level. So that one has not been, I don't know what's wrong with it. They were awarded it last year, but we still have not had the public announcement on it, so I can't really go into that specific one. But, with the consortium, and that is a small amount if you were interested in something like that. Or if any of you were interested in something that we discussed, you can always just send me an email or call me. Email's sometimes easier, because if I can't answer your question, I can forward it on.
Sure.
And you are the best person to describe what you're wanting. So if you were interested in something like that, I can, if I can't help you, I know the lady in the national office, and sometimes just talking through it with someone that
Sure.
knows the program and scores it.
Right. Can that apply to both for-profits as well as not-for-profits? Maybe that's a follow-up question by email.
Well, that's one of the things on here. Okay, here it says a consortium with at least one member
Yeah.
legally organized, incorporated.
Yeah, I went through that. I just didn't
Yeah.
see it address that issue. I'll follow up on that.
Yeah. But these can be pretty specific.
Any particular project you've been involved in where you're like, wow, I'm glad to have gotten to be part of that? Interesting. I'm sure a lot of it's,
It's a lot of like that, refinance one was interesting to me, that we did down in Russell County, because, I don't think he'll mind. It was called Superior Battery, and their batteries made here in Kentucky. Didn't know that we did that. Just a phenomenal business, in my opinion, a phenomenal businessman. I mean, I knew everybody that worked for him, over 100 employees, called him by name. Most of employees, I think the average is 15 years that they've been working for him. Yeah. Just to watch the technology, you always think rural areas, it's, the technology's 20 years behind, and he just has a lot of forward thinking. He has robotics in his facility, and let's say he had 5 people working on something, and he turned it to robotics. He doesn't, say sorry to those 5 people. He retrains them in something else, finds, includes them in it. I thought that was just very progressive. I'm trying to think of anything else.
That's a great start.
This Delta Healthcare grant that's was awarded. That's very interesting to me. I can't.
Sure. No, that's okay. Yeah.
I
Maybe
can't talk
next
about it.
year I can talk about it. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just very odd that, I think this thing was awarded back in November, and normally it's a couple weeks later they're doing a public announcement, so I don't understand.
Are you in a position to mention, in general terms, what that Is it health education? Is it?
Let's say, that possible that these people have gotten together with the college and the hospital and an economic development organization, and they are using, it's funny, the way they word it is man-e-kin. And what it is a smart, to me, I'll give you my idea that it's a mannequin that's computerized. And they're looking to train nurses or people that need their continuing education. So they'll have a real-world incident with these mannequins, have someone observe them, and it's videoed, it's all computerized, so the computer sees it, so as the nurse or whomever, the student is working on this, then they go back, review it with the nurse of here, this is what you did well, this is what you could have maybe done different, and it's a learning process, so you're not learning on a live human, you're learning on this computerized mannequin.
Cool.
It is, that's neat. I mean, it's just really neat, and I'm just hope, and because it's recorded, they can send it to other facilities to help them learn as well. Yes.
I want to get First United Bank here locally. What office from USDA would work with the B&I programs that you offer?
I would work with you. I'm out of E-Town. I go to Lexington a lot. So if you were interested, we can talk to you about it. But normally our state office, I work with them. I'm just kind of like a satellite up down. So if you're interested, we'd be happy to talk to you about it. And then we also, we just like this, I'm sorry, I call this like our little cheat sheet of the different, it's like it's just very condensed version of what we offer. We also have one like where it might be better for an SBA loan guarantee, you know, what they offer and some things they don't offer, we can. Normally on the smaller, less than 5 million loans, it seems to me that they're sometimes a better fit. So we have also had someone that's had, just over the course of time, different things happening. They've gotten 3 or 4 or 5 different SBA loans, and then they want to consolidate them. So we, might be able to do something like that. But when we do that, it's a refinance still, and so they can't, say if they had the loan with you, they couldn't refinance it with you, they have to go forward, but if they had it with someone else and wanted to come to you, we can do that. Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Carol. No, I just interrupted. I was looking down, she was sitting across the table.
That's okay.
Sorry.
For our purposes, I guess here, what is considered rural? Like, was there a designation? Does it have to be a certain?
We do have what we call an eligibility map online, but basically if you're not in Lexington, Bowling Green, Louisville, or Owensboro, I think Paducah is.
They don't have Target, I consider them rural.
That's how I divide it up. There we go, that's a very good point. So there's
That's
not,
scientific analysis.
Yeah.
For sure.
So-
Hey, consumer ed.
Yeah.
Consumer ed, what are you talking about?
I will say we've also done stuff, let's say the business is located in Louisville, but the project that they want to do is in a rural area. It might work. So, like we've had businesses that say they produce food in Louisville, but they're trying to distribute it out. Like if there's a Louisville farmers market that they're trying to distribute it out to rural areas, so we're trying to assist them in getting that started. So it depends. I know not too many people are asking many questions on the REAP program. But that energy efficiency, let's say you needed to do, I'm sorry, is that your next?
That was my second question.
I had two.
But he, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I got a question.
I've got a two-part Kevin Cobb question myself. Did you, people that, when they find, like when you're out with friends and that sort of thing, they find what to do, they must be surprised. I mean, what's the biggest surprise, or maybe what surprised you? And I also wondered, like, how has USDA changed since you've been in terms of like how you see the focus shift or stuff like that? The things you support?
I've only been with USDA since July of 2011, so less than 4 years. I started out in the single-family housing in the direct portion where we give loans to very low or low-income homes. I work with people, most of the people in our state probably been working 10, 20 years plus, so I'm a complete newbie compared to them. So it amazed me. I guess I always, everyone else like, where's that free money? And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing called free money. Because if it's free, there's a lot of stuff that goes, a lot of work that goes into putting these grants. Like I was talking to him about the value-added producers grant. That's what we call the deadline to submit your application is like 60 days from now. And if you think you're going to put in one in 60 days, you're sorely mistaken. There are people that, because it is competitive and they have grant writers, people hire grant writers, you don't have to. Sometimes it's highly suggested, but people work on these applications for a year, to get them ready. And so these people that are about to apply on this value added, they may have been working on it for the last year, and then when this notice comes out, okay, you can apply now, they have to reconfigure it to fit this year's rules, which normally they're about the same, but sometimes they tweak it. Normally it's the money. You can apply for this much, or you can apply for this much, but there are little things that they tweak. So, yeah, I just, I tell them that I work for rural businesses and we help assist rural communities develop, and they're like, oh, okay. And that's about it.
When you're talking about rural, and you said Owensboro, is it because the county is more than 50,000 or Owensboro is more?
The city of Owensboro is more than 50,000. So if on our eligibility map, you are not in this section, they normally do it within the city limits. I can't say it's always that way, but we have what we call an eligibility map where you plug in the address and it says, yes, you are good to go, or no, sorry. It's in a not eligible area.
But my question on the REAP program is, it appears that you have somebody that will come in and do an audit to show you where you're at.
We won't come in. You would need to hire or I say hire in the loose sense that you would need an energy auditor to come in and say, this is where you can save money. Some people have is there a co-op here, or is there Kentucky Utilities? What do you guys?
This is the city of Madison. We're at LG&E. Are we LG&E?
Well, we have Madisonville Municipal Utilities, but then also in the area as KU and Kinergy, so all.
Okay, so whomever you use, you
Yeah.
may want to contact them first. They may have someone that is, free or small fee to come out and do it. We do have if you're interested in the REAP program, we have a list of energy auditors. I know that one of the energy auditors is out of Princeton. It's with UK. Two of the doctors there. We have just given them an energy. Oh gosh, if I get the words wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's an energy audit grant where we've given them money to help pay for the cost for someone. Let's say you went to go get them an energy audit from them. I think, and I may get the percentages wrong, but I think we're giving 75% of those funds. So let's say if they, and I don't know how much they are, I'm not saying, but I'm going with easy numbers. If it's $400, then then we would give them 300 and you would pay 100. So, if you're interested in that, just, you know, let me, but that would be your first thing you would need to do is get an energy audit
And then
done.
the
Like,
purchase and install is, you'll loan, the grant is 25% of the total cost, and then you'll loan, secure the loan for 75%.
that would be a combo. So let's say if you
That's
just
all.
want, you can do just a grant, you can do just a loan, or you can do a loan and grant combo.
Okay.
So when you do a loan and grant combo, we can do 25% grant, 50% loan, and then you would put in 25%. No matter what, they're gonna want you to have what we call 25% skin in the game.
Right.
So, but that is, if you're thinking of doing any type of energy improvements, or you think of any other renewable like solar is very popular, geothermal would be another renewable type, but it's just, that program just amazes me because it's, you know, I'm thinking of like grocery stores in rural areas, they need new fridges, they've had them for 30 years and they're costing them a lot of money, and they're thinking of, you know, installing new ones. That's interesting. One that, one of the things that I talk about that you asked me, there's a dairy farmer, they used to use box fans to cool off their cows. They installed one of those big fans that they make in Lexington.
Big ass fan.
There you go.
I just wanted to say it.
Yeah, and so instead of having all these box fans and this thing, one of the things they did is a return on investment. What they didn't realize, and this is the stuff that I found a little fun facts, is because the cows were cooler, I think it was 1 degree cooler, they produced more milk. And they hadn't even put that in the return on investment because they
Didn't know.
know that that would make such a difference in production.
Cool.
But I don't know if you guys have a lot of like, people like with poultry houses. They may need to insulate, they may need tunnel doors, they may need a new heating system because, you know, propane went out the roof a couple of years ago, scared a lot, you know, a lot of people. And so now some people are turning, you know, instead of propane, they're doing wood pellets or some other type of source. I'm trying to think of, we've done greenhouses. You know, people need a new type of greenhouse or new way to insulate it, or we had somebody apply that had 2 greenhouses and they're gonna just make it into one, and re-insulate it and that type of thing. Grain dryers, we've done grain dryers.
So are you getting a lot of activity on this REAP program?
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah,
lots of people and lots of different businesses want to take advantage.
yeah, it was geared towards agricultural producers, which on that one, you have to produce 51% of your business is ag production. And the way to include people that maybe do farming, but they don't get more than 50% of their income because they may have it as a second job or whatever, they have included the small business. So as long as you fit under the small business standards for SBA, which is used by I call it a NAICS code, it's NAICS code. As long as your business falls into that, you can apply.
Okay.
With the other qualifications, but that's one of them. I would like to think that, you know, you go in, like you were talking about, you know, go in there, normal, do you know what your NAICS code is?
I don't.
Okay, it's normally on your tax return. It's a 6-digit number. It's a 6-digit number that's on your tax return, probably on your.
Is there a minus in front of it?
Very nice.
Yeah, it's easy to look up. You just go Nike,
Yeah,
do a
they have
search,
website,
NICS code, yes,
if
you can
need
find it.
I can send you the information, or you can look it up under the NAICS. It's, I think on your Schedule C or Schedule F, it's right there, like the second line on the left normally, or it was last year. I've looked at a bunch of them, so, go ahead.
So the farmers around here that are getting the rebates, I guess not rebate, whatever the word is, for the high tunnels, Is that through you
No,
guys?
that is, I think, through NRCS.
That sounds right, yeah.
National Resource Conservation Service. I think that they are, normally NRCS, FSA, Farm Service Agency, and ourselves, we're normally located in the same building sometimes. I know in E-Town we are, but that's normally through them. Doesn't mean we can't, to me, there's ways that, that's another thing, with our funding, you might be able to get funding through us, and if we can't do it, I try and find, well, maybe this person has a program. But I had mentioned to him that there is a Kentucky Center for Agricultural and Rural Development. They're out of E-Town. They not only know about our programs, they know about a bunch of other federal programs and state programs. Like this energy, not only do we do a program, the state does a program. And they do it for energy efficiency. They do it for renewable, but I know they do not include solar, where we do. So if you get 25% from us and you happen to get a grant from them, that's okay, because it's not federal money.
Wow.
We view that as your money.
And what's the name of that group?
That is K-CARD. It's probably an easier acronym.
Heard of it? Yeah.
If you want to call them,
We do, we sure do.
their number is 270-763.
And for the right amount of money, I'll give you the last 4 digits.
There you go. 8258. And Katie Miller there, she's the business coordinator there. She kind of you kind of tell her what you're looking for, and she can either help you or give you to another specialist that might be able to help you. Another thing I'd mention is if anybody was wanting to do something, some type of loan, check with K-CARD or a small business development center. I know there's one in Owensboro. I think Chris Woolridge out of Murray State is the director over there.
Good, sir. That's like, you know what you do?
Okay, all right. Well, she obviously can help you then. Is he your,
He's a boss.
boss? Yes, yeah. So, I find them very helpful. I met with one in Bowling Green and I was amazed. I'd never gotten to sit down with one before, because he was wanting to know about our programs, but I was amazed that, I don't know if this is true for you, but you guys do feasibility studies, like what you're wanting, about what we were discussing. They can do, if I'm wrong, tell me please, a feasibility study, a business plan to help you, like information you're gonna have to go to the bank, if you have to go to a bank. I mean, it's just, and that's free, is that right? Yeah, so a lot of good help, free help there. You guys, amazing, so, nice work there. So, and if you have a card, I'd be happy to have it, so I can give it out. So.
Security for Sarah.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think of anything else that might be pertinent. I know I'm probably not taking a whole hour, it's probably a good thing.
Great, you're doing great.
But I don't know if anyone else has any other questions.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you think of anything, my phone number or email is on the back of that card. If you can't find it, I'll be happy to give you a business card. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Ron. Appreciate it. Looks like we're winding up a little bit early. Appreciate everybody being here. As you think of other folks, not only to invite, but also to present, feed that to Carol, to myself, to Marion, to Kevin. And again, we're happy to have Kevin as our newest organizer, helping us with all of this, but helping us all along anyway, basically providing the space and the coffee. So glad to have Kevin in an additional capacity with us. On June 2nd, on one side of this sheet that should be in front of you, I'll call your attention as well to your Create Your Future Women's Conference. And It's going to be a good one. The keynote speaker is, as you can see on here, is Laura Benson, who's owner and CEO of Philly Flair. And from what I've heard about that, is that out of Omaha?
They're out there somewhere.
Sort of that direction.
It's away from here.
Yeah, away from here. Apparently, she's a like 28-year-old house of fire, and started small and has grown this thing into a multi-million-dollar business. And so.
And she will be our speaker the next day.
Yes, at 1 Million Cups, but I'm sure that if you came to both, you would probably hear, while some similarities, I'm sure you would hear two different things, two different approaches, I would imagine. We're working on a speaker out of Indiana, and I anticipate that he'll be coming in June. He has developed numerous businesses. They all have a passive defense weapon focus for the most part, and where they don't kill folks but disable them. And he's working with the military, he has military contracts, happens to be married to my first cousin. So, but working on getting him down in June, and he is the entrepreneur in residence in the Anderson, Indiana region, not far from Indianapolis, for, I believe it's Purdue University, through their entrepreneurial center. So I think he'll be a fascinating speaker. With that, and let's see, we've got someone from
Kansas
City teed up for the
27th.
the 27th of this month. And can you speak to that, Jamie?
Sure, they created an online app called Little Hoots, and it is designed to quickly and easily store the funny and cute things that your kids say, so you don't forget them the next day, and you put it on a beautiful little package, and it's stored forever in a nice memento. So yeah, Little Hoots, a good friend of mine, is one of the founders.
And they will be with us via Skype, as I understand. So rather than watching a video, we'll be able to interact live with them and ask questions and have them answered in real time. So I think that'll be probably our first one that we'll be doing with that. So that's pretty cool.
As long as Time Warner will cooperate.
Represented here that morning.
No pressure, Todd.
Yeah.
No pressure. If anybody doesn't have anything else, look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Have a great week.
Thank you.